Well, hi everyone. It's Rusty here, and I've been thinking quite a bit about the fact that I've been encouraging everybody to take up hiking, but I really haven't given any advice on how to even get started. So let's fix that now. So before I get started, just kind of giving my own little bit of advice on how to get started, I'd like to bring your attention to suggested viewing here. It's a teaching company course called Outdoor Fundamentals, Everything You Need to Know to Stay Safe with Professor Elizabeth K. Andre of Northland College. Here's teaching company course. Now, I don't have a business relationship with the teaching company. This isn't sponsored. I mean, the business relationship I have with them is I send them money, they send me courses. Um, it's 24 video lectures, very credible because in many cases she's talking about areas that I have hiked in and I've recognized exactly what she's talking about. And she's really talking about, kayaking, camping, hiking, all that sort of thing. Now, these courses can be very expensive, but the teaching company does put them on sale for at least 70% off once a year. So I'd recommend you wait for the sale. So there's another YouTuber, Holy Schmidt is the name of his YouTube channel. It's about retirement planning. And he ran an informal survey asking people what are the most, what you like to do for free, free activities when you're retired. And he put all the answers, he got like 100 answers, he put them all into what's called a word cloud where it gives you a picture where the larger the word, the more often it was answered. And no surprise to me, the word that was mentioned the most was hiking. Now he combined this with other outdoor activities, and basically the number one activity, at least for new retirees, allegedly free activity, is hiking. So let's take a look. Hiking is free? Well, here's the equipment I bring with me when I go hiking. And here's the replacement cost. Now, I didn't pay anywhere near this much. I've had this equipment for a while. Prices have gone up quite a bit lately. But you can see that the equipment can be very expensive. An ultralight tent to replace the one I have, even if that model were available, is around $700. Sleeping bag, which is a 3-season sleeping bag. If you watch my last video, it's only good down to about 40 degrees. That's $339. A sleeping pad, which I've discovered I really need. I have a Thermarest. Right now, the replacement cost for that is $229. I'm sure I got mine for a lot less than that, closer to $150. Z-Packs, again, they make the tent. They happen to make my backpack. That price has skyrocketed lately. Probably the materials that go into it have gone way up in price. So that would be $375. And then there's still a lot more. My backpacking stove, as you know, I have a Jetboil. If you watched my prior videos, that's about $135 backpacking stove. Water filter, definitely have to have a water filter or some way of treating water. $129 by Platypus. A water bladder. I happen to use a water bladder. That's a $33 item. Hiking boots, I use Keen hiking boot. They have a wide toe box. I've never had problems with them, blisters or anything like that. $175. And trekking poles, the Black Diamonds. This is the one thing where I found the price hadn't actually gone up too much. $170. You add this all up, and it comes out to be like $2,100. So hiking isn't free. Now, I've acquired this over time, and I probably only paid about 2/3 about those amounts over time. But when I go to replace some of this equipment, I'll be paying whatever the current prices are. Well, there's another approach. Suppose you decided that you were going to, instead of going out backpacking the way I do, that you just wanted to get into it slowly. You wanted to see if hiking even appeals to you. Well, you certainly shouldn't go out and spend $2,000 on equipment in that case. But suppose you did what I did at Mount Monadnock recently, and that is I just rented a campsite and I climbed up the mountain. Now I climbed up full pack with all of my equipment because it was a practice session, but if you were just doing this for enjoyment, you could leave everything except for a day pack behind. You could actually get a tech sport dome tent. Now this was actually recommended to me by a person who saw my video on pitching a tent on a platform. He said, well, what about this one? Now this is not a backpacking tent. It's very cheap. You get what you pay for, but if you were to put this on a tent platform while you're out car camping, say at Mount Monadnock State Park, that could be your home base. I'm sure this tent would be more than adequate. It weighs 5.5 pounds, so it's not something you really ought to be carrying with you. Now the check marks here, the red ones are things that you would need for an overnight hike, and when we get to the green check marks, it's going to be the things that we need for a day hike. So you could get a very cheap base camp sort of tent. If you can't afford a sleeping bag, you probably have blankets. You could bring blankets with you. You probably would need an air mattress, but for about $30 on Amazon, you can get a decent enough air mattress, at least that, enough for comfort, because a tent platform is a wooden platform and you won't want to be sleeping on a bunch of blankets on a tent platform, but you could, wrap the blankets over you in a summer day and have a nice little sleeping pad like this. And then, okay, a day pack that you would need for a day hiking. I saw one on Amazon for about $18. Maybe your kids probably got one. If you've got children who have to go to school, now it's the summer, they're not going to school, borrow their backpack, the one that they carry their books in. So far, you can get by pretty cheap. A backpacking stove, well, you could get a $13 Esbit stove for cooking things over. Bring your own little pot with you. Or if you're at a state park, there's usually, some kind of grill there, for cooking over a wood fire. Or don't cook at all. Stop at Subway on the way, and for $7, get a foot-long sub sandwich or something of that sort. For water purification, well, for a day hike, you can just take the water, what they call developed water, in other words, from a tap or something, or from your home. Just bring a bunch with you from home. A water pack, well, just use plastic bottles, an empty Gatorade bottle, fill it with water. Take the Gatorade with you, whatever, So you don't have to have that for a day hike. You don't have to spend anything on it for a day hike. Hiking shoes, well, depending on the terrain, your sneakers actually may be perfectly adequate. There was a time when everybody was saying, oh, you have to have these heavy hiking boots, you have to wear them for weeks beforehand to break them in. Things have changed. A lot of people use trail runners, but if you're just getting into it and trying to learn and you have a pair of beat up old sneakers, I think you could use that if the terrain is not too bad, if it's not something that's going to stress your ankles. And you're not carrying a heavy pack, you're just carrying, a few sandwiches, some water, and a first aid kit, a flashlight just in case, just the bare minimum. You actually may be okay and perfectly comfortable in sneakers. If not, if you have to buy a pair of hiking boots, just be careful and, don't go out to the store, buy them the day before, and then wear them. You could get blisters. Like I said, I had no problems with my Keens, but with every other brand of hiking boot I've had, I have had to break them in. Trekking poles, a wooden walking stick would be perfectly fine. I know a lot of people use them. You can buy them, but you can just go, if you have any wooded areas around, find a down branch that's the right height and pretty straight, and you could use that as a walking stick if you want a walking stick at all. Not everybody uses trekking poles. I use trekking poles. They're dual purpose for me. They help me on my hike, but they also provide structure for my tent. So, well, where to hike? Well, most localities have, within a 1-hour drive, state and municipal parks and forests, wildlife sanctuaries, day hiking trails. For example, where I live, the New England Trail, also it overlaps with the Metacomet-Monadnock Trail. That whole trail system goes fairly near my house. I mean, I could literally walk to the nearest point of the trail from my house. There's the Rhode Island North-South Trail. There's a trail going through the center of Massachusetts. There's Mount Monadnock, which I've talked about, and here's an example. So let me just take a moment to show a little video that I took while I was up on Mount Monadnock, just to give you an idea of what a day hike can be like. So here's a video I took while I was climbing down from the summit of Mount Monadnock. Hopefully my post-processing, I can actually stabilize the video. It's a bit shaky as I'm watching it now. But just gives you a good example of what you can actually, how on a day hike you can actually get out into nature and have a challenging and enjoyable hike. At this point in the trail, I was following from rock cairn to rock cairn to get, to keep to the trail. These trees aren't really suitable for painting blazes on, and for much of this trail, the trail mark was actually a capital P. This is the Pumpelly or Pumpelly Trail. I don't know how to pronounce it, but they would paint the P on an occasional rock. But typically, for this section, I was going from cairn to cairn. That's looking back up towards the summit. That is not the summit of Mount Monadnock. I think that was a shoulder. But that's what I had come down. So this is the sort of thing that you can really get out into. So the bottom line is, it doesn't have to be expensive. Once you add overnighting on a trail, the costs do go up. You could join a local retirees day hiking club. I see them advertised in our local newspapers all the time and on the town websites. Get like-minded people who know the area and can go on appropriate hikes for newcomers. Consider the car camping with the day hikes like I presented here. That's just another way to really get into some maybe more challenging hikes without having to put out a lot of money for fancy equipment. You can combine it with other hobbies such as bird watching, videography, wildlife photography, whatever it is that that you could combine it with, combine two hobbies together. The idea though is to slowly build into it. If you find it enjoyable, then expand your equipment and your hikes incrementally. Don't go out and spend a lot of money on fancy backpacking equipment if you don't even know if you're going to enjoy sleeping out in the woods overnight. That's not for everybody. I happen to enjoy it, but a lot of people just find that they don't, and it would be kind of a waste for you to spend a lot of money on overnight equipment when you would be just as happy doing day hikes. As an example, here's a picture of Mike. Mike and I started hiking again, later in life. We'd hike together as kids, but later in life we started hiking again, and you can see the equipment that he's got on that bag. What a hodgepodge that was. I don't know, how much it cost him or anything, but I know that he put together something cheap just to try it out. It was just, a good way to get started. So that's the bottom line. Doesn't have to be expensive. You can do it for free, minimal costs. So thanks for listening.